Hello everyone. I'll be talking to you about blended learning. Blended learning is a term which has now become very familiar to all of us. So let's go a little beyond and understand what really it means. I'll share my screen with you, and with my presentation, I will try and discuss the whole issue. Just give me a second. I hope everyone can see the presentation. I'll just put it on full mode. Okay, basically the term blended learning is come to mean personalizing education for students. The idea is to be able to impart the education to the student at the pace at which the person is able to understand, to the extent that the person is able to understand, and from wherever the person wants to learn. So blended learning, I'm going to be taking up three components. The first one will be understanding blended learning. Second is models of blended learning. And the third one is the implications of the concept of blended learning for teachers. So starting with the first one, that is understanding blended learning. Let us see what exactly it means. The definition according to Oxford Dictionary is that blended learning is a style of education in which students learn via electronic and online media, as well as traditional face-to-face teaching. So it is basically a combination of what we learn online and what we learn offline or face-to-face in the classroom with our teachers. So basically, the concept of blended learning is many times referred to as what we say hybrid learning. And why do we say that? Because it is a combination of the classroom learning along with the online learning. It's important to remember that blended learning is not just an infusion of electrical media into the educational system. It is not the fact that the students have started learning using laptops in the classes very comfortably. It also does not mean that just for the sake of the fact that the students are now using, instead of using notebooks, they are using laptops. That is the reason why it is called blended learning. No, that is just the introduction of technology into learning. It is definitely much more than that. It is bringing in the resources which are available online into the classroom teaching. So when we say that it is bringing in information from online resources, it means that we are taking the information which is available online to substantiate or to enhance the concepts that we are teaching to our students in the classroom. So in a way, we can say that it is a collaborative kind of a learning process. Why do we call it collaborative? Because the students are equally big stakeholders as far as the learning process is concerned. It is not like in the traditional setting that we are imposing the education on them, that we've decided that this is what you are supposed to be learning, and this is the amount of time XYZ in which you're supposed to be doing it. So we are not giving them a syllabus and giving them a time that, okay, this is one semester, and then in this one semester, this is what you're going to be learning. But the students are equally sort of involved or responsible for the learning process that is taking place. The student controls what he or she is learning. He is able to control the pace at which he or she wants to learn, the time at which he or she wants to learn, and also the place, whether they want to learn it when they come to the school or the college in the brick and mortar setting up, or they want to learn from home, from where they can access the material online. This becomes helpful to us as teachers as well, because I don't think there would be any of us who would not have experienced the students playing something or the other on their phones, or looking totally distracted in the class, looking out of the window, talking to each other while the teacher is explaining in the class. So when the student is sort of the other stakeholder in the entire process of education, then naturally the student is more engaged, the student is more involved, And definitely the student is more involved. It is a very satisfying process for the teacher as well, to be able to interact in an environment where the teacher wants to teach and the student wants to learn. So when we say that blended learning is a term which has come about recently, we can also put it as saying that it is not so much as an innovation, because it's not something that we have heard it, or the process is not new to us. But what basically we can say is that it is become more prominent because of the digital era that surrounds us these days, and more so because we have been forced into this situation because of the pandemic. The students are unable to come to the colleges. We are unable to go to the colleges. So the online resources, the online ability to take classes has become very helpful for us and for the students that the teaching learning process has carried on. Again, I would like to focus that just because we are taking classes online doesn't make it blended learning, because it is also additional resources that we are taking online in order to supplement what we are teaching to the students in the classroom. So it is blended learning, as the term suggests. It's a blend, or it is a mixture of online and offline teaching to get the best for the student. So now if we say that it is more than just introduction of technology into the teaching process, so let us understand also what are the different aspects that are related to blended learning. The first and foremost question that comes to our mind is that we have heard the term of distance learning, and distance learning, online learning, all these have been carrying on for a long period of time. So now, how is blended learning different from the concept of distance learning or online learning? The most important component of blended learning is that the large amount of learning even now takes place in the educational setting with the teacher or the mentor or the guide or the supervisor, whatever term you would like to give to that person. So even when we are taking virtual classes right now, we are still taking it like a classroom. We have students there, and we are taking our lessons or classes with them. So the major portion is still in the classroom setup, but it is further enhanced by the information that we are taking online. So we cannot do away with the teacher or the mentor, and it's important for the student to continue to interact with the teacher in positive ways. But however, what is different is that they have the freedom to choose when and where they want to study, whether they want to study at 11 a.m. in the classroom or at 11 p.m. at home, whether they want to come to the class to take their classes and learn from there, or they want to stay at home and join online, or take information online and add to whatever that is being taught to them. The other aspect is that what is the different components of a blended learning classroom? This is something which we need to keep in mind, that in a blended classroom, how is it different from distance learning? The student is learning information online. The student is learning everything online. But what the person is doing in the classroom then? The classroom is meant for hands-on activity, for lab activity, to be able to apply that information on various projects, to be able to understand the application of the components that the student is learning. The other aspect, what are they doing in the classroom? Some amount of remedial work. There are some students, I think as teachers, we all know that there are some students who are very quick to learn concepts, and there are students who are struggling to learn. So this gives an opportunity for the student as well as the teacher to work on a one-on-one basis with those students who require extra attention, who are having difficulty in understanding concepts, So we have the opportunity for remedial work with these students. And there may be some students who want to learn more about what they have already learned. So for deeper understanding, deeper learning, more extensive information, that also is what can be done in the classrooms. Classrooms are also meant for discussions with peers, with mentors, with supervisors, with guides, to be able to help understand as well as to enhance the information that they are having at that point of time. This also gives an opportunity for discussion, for information related to careers and academic goals. I think it doesn't come as a surprise to any of us that most of what we are learning or teaching to the students in our classes these days have a very little role to play as far as future careers of the students is concerned. So it becomes very important that not only we give them information, but we also help them to understand how this information is going to be helpful for them, useful for them in the future, for both their academic goals and their career related goals. The third important question that comes here is that it does this blended learning model help the student to prepare for higher level learning or a job? This question, I think, comes from the previous discussion that we've had, that does the information that the child or the student learn in the class is helpful or is going to help the person in any way regarding the future? So this is again another aspect which is a part of the blended learning, that since we are saying that blended learning focuses on both academic as well as on hands-on learning, we can say that blended learning is much better suited for the student as far as meeting his or her needs are concerned, vis-a-vis the traditional method of learning. So here, because the focus is on mastery, the focus is on understanding of concepts, the understanding, not only the understanding, but also the applicability of those concepts is the focus over here. So we can say that in fact, blended learning model is much better than the traditional model of learning that we have been using so far. So let us look at the various components which are there of blended learning. So you can see the first component is that of face-to-face training. At no point of time we can say that we can do away with the teacher or the mentor, because the teacher or the mentor may not be the person who gives the entire information, because a lot of it we are taking online as well. But definitely the teacher is required to guide the person to go to the right sources of getting that information, what exactly the component means and how exactly that component is going to be helpful and applicable to them in the later years to come. That is an important role for the teacher. And the role of the teacher or the mentor or the guide still remains. We cannot do away with that. Then yes, virtual classrooms. I think all of us are familiar with the concept of virtual classrooms these days, because all of us are taking classes through virtual classrooms. None of us are being able to go to the colleges and take classes on ground, offline. So the concept of virtual classrooms is really proving helpful to us these days, because then in that case, we are able to continue with the process of the teaching learning process, and that has not got interrupted despite the pandemic that we are going through right now. The other important component of blended learning is the webinars that we are organized for our students related to various specific topics. The links that we can give to the students to sort of gather more information to enhance their learning. Simulations is a very important component of learning in blended learning process, because many times the applicability of a particular component is sort of done through simulations, because like again taking the example of the pandemic, It is difficult for the students to go for internships, for them to go out, work in various workspaces to get a sort of hands-on experience. So in that situation, simulation, simulated situations, a simulated form of learning is also a huge component of blended learning, which can help the students to learn better. As teachers, I think I cannot emphasize the role of assessment enough. Neither the teacher nor the student will know how much learning has taken place without the proper assessment procedures. So assessment is definitely a component of blended learning, and one-on-one coaching is another aspect which I will be also referring to when I talk about the models of blended learning. This concept of blended learning gives us this opportunity for one-to-one coaching. Like I had mentioned previously also, for those students who are having problem understanding the concepts, or who are require further explanation or help in understanding the various aspects that are being taught in class, their one-on-one coaching is a very helpful feature and definitely a big plus point of blended learning. So like I had said, that blended learning is, although yes, it has become now a familiar concept or a familiar term for us, we still don't have that much of clarity as far as blended learning is concerned. Like all things which we don't know very well, we often have myths related to that. Same is true for blended learning as well. So one of the myths that is related to blended learning is that students work in isolation. This comes out of the understanding that the students are working at their own pace, from wherever they want to work, whenever they want to work. So the end result, we think, is that they are working isolation. But actually that is not true, because the role of the mentor or the guide or supervisor, teacher, whatever we would like to call that person, cannot be ruled out. One, the person is definitely needed as far as the student is concerned. Also, I emphasized the role of peer discussions, the peer reviews, peer feedback as far as learning is concerned. So the student is definitely not working in isolation, and isolation, I feel, is not the way learning can take place, because a lot of information comes from other people or other sources which enhance the learning process. Also, we are all social beings. I think the best learning that takes place is when we are with others. So definitely isolation is not a component of blended learning. The other myth is that in blended learning, the work is primarily asynchronous. That is, the work is given to the student and the student does it as and when they please. So there is no synchronicity as far as the teacher and the student is concerned. Again, I have already brought this out, that definitely there is a huge role of classroom teaching as well, and classroom teaching is synchronous when we have the student and the teacher working simultaneously at the same time. Definitely some components are asynchronous, where the material is uploaded onto the various places like Classroom, Google Classroom or virtual classroom, from where the student can take that information and read as and when that they would like to. But that is not the entire truth as far as blended learning is concerned. And synchronous learning is a definitely important component as well. The third myth is that it requires less work than traditional face-to-face learning. I think all of us have had experience of online learning and online teaching right now to be able to totally give a big no-no as far as this myth is concerned. We all know that blended learning or online learning is and has lot of work involved, and definitely not easier than the traditional face-to-face learning. Another thought is that blended learning is a linear process. That is, the person starts learning and just goes on and on and on in one line. But again, we can also understand, if we see that the entire focus is on mastery, then it cannot be a linear process, because you will learn certain components, you will want to know more about those components, you'll probably gather more information, you would put in a certain thoughts and ideas as far as the discussion is concerned. But when you read the remarks of the other people, you would be forced to think about your own ideas again. So you would go back to learning more about those aspects that you have been discussing. So it is a back and forth process, and definitely cannot be said to be a solely linear process of learning. Also, there is a myth that it is only for gifted students, that only gifted students benefit from blended learning. But we've already seen that it is also for those students who are not able to learn components of the various discussions very easily, and they are struggling to understand and to comprehend. So the remedial work is also part of blended learning. Another huge myth is that it is only the purpose of blended learning is only credit recovery, gathering of credits to move on further. But after all this discussion, I think all of us will agree that this is not the main aim of the process of blended learning. And when we combine this blended learning with research-based or project-based learning, then definitely this method of learning gives a huge opportunity for students with different needs, different levels, different pace of learning to be able to comprehend and move on after their learning is completed or reached the mastery level. Let's look at the advantages and challenges of blended learning. Advantages is a very, very clear advantage is there. One, that the content is personalized to the person who's learning. Since we are saying that it is at the person's pace, at the person's place of choice, at the person's time of choice. So definitely it is personalized learning for each individual, and it works at the individual space and need for learning. The second advantage is that it the electronic resources can be used to provide further support for pupils. That is, the students can get more information about the things that they want to learn, and they can go online. We cannot possibly have 100% of all information that is available regarding or related to a particular component of learning that we are planning to impart to the students. So it is definitely a huge benefit for us as teachers, as well as for the learners, that they are able to get information from other sources as well to enhance what they are learning. And this also sort of builds interest in the student, because when the student finds that he or she can get that information, the question that is there in the person's mind, that question can be answered immediately. He or she doesn't have to wait for the next day, that when I go to college, I will meet my teacher, I will discuss this with my teacher and get this information. So naturally, it also encourages the student to go further for learning, because they realize that, okay, if I have a question, I just have to go online to get the information and clarify my doubts at that time itself. So that's a huge plus point. Since we are saying that it is personalized, it is the students can do it at their own pace. So then naturally, the students are also more encouraged, more participative, and they want to be a part of the learning process. The very important component of blended learning is that whatever work is done is being submitted online, is being checked online, is being recorded online. So that work remains there. That is, it is saved for the person or for the student to be able to retrieve that work at any point of time that he or she wants to go through it again, and doesn't have to go through piles of paper to look for some particular answer or some particular material that he or she read at some point of time and now remembers and is that interest is risen to, okay, let me go through it again. So the student can retrieve that material automatically because it's all there online for the person to be able to access it. Besides these, there are, of course, we cannot say that doesn't have its own challenges. The very, very basic challenges that the student is sort of required to move from the paper-based activity to technology-based activity within a short span of time. So you may have some work which is being done on laptops, and there will be some work which the student is doing on paper. So this shift between technology and paper becomes a little difficult sometimes to manage. The very important aspect is that the screen time increases. The student is all the time looking at the screen of the laptop. So definitely not a very good idea as far as the health of the student is concerned. The next challenge that we are going to be talking about is really very true of our own country, that the technology is not that easily available. It's not easily available to us maybe in the classroom, and many times there are students who are staying in places where either the technology is not available or the Wi-Fi connectivity is not available. So when the student wants to learn, suddenly finds that there is no connectivity, the Wi-Fi is not functioning, and the student is not able to access what he or she wanted to access, that can be very frustrating. And it can, just as the availability of information is a huge encouragement, the non-availability of information because of the technical glitches can be very discouraging also. And I think none of us will be probably saying no to this, that teachers' workload definitely increases, because not only do they have to find additional resources, the style of teaching has changed. So the materials that is being presented in the classroom is different. A lot of work is sometimes to be done regarding the gathering of information, bringing together the information that you would like to give to your students. The teachers have to be tech savvy, because they have to know what links to give to the students that are relevant to whatever is being taught at the particular point of time. So definitely the teachers' workload does increase. Also, the screen time for the teachers also increases, because they are giving work online, checking work online. So the screen time for the teachers also increases tremendously. One student has to submit work, so that student's screen time has increased, but the teacher has to check the work of 30, 40, 50 students. So you can imagine the increase as far as the screen time for the teachers is concerned. So no doubt it is a challenge as well, but definitely it has a lot of advantages which have been proving to be very beneficial to the students. But like all new innovations, new changes, new way of reform, if they are done well, they have a lot of advantage. And if we are not able to do it to the best of our abilities, then the challenges will always be more than the advantages. I think with that, I would like to end this particular section. And after this, I will be talking about the different models of blended learning. Thank you so much.